Greetings aspirants, welcome back to the daily current affairs video by CivicCentre IAS, where we will try to discuss various articles related to the UPSC CSE prelims perspective. So displayed are the topics which we are going to discuss today. The first article says that the Reserve Bank of India on Wednesday retained the State Bank of India, HDFC Bank and ICICI Bank as domestic systematically important banks. In this context, let's talk about it. So, what do we mean by domestic systematically important banks? See, the Reserve Bank of India designates certain banks as domestic systematically important banks due to their critical role in the financial system. Furthermore, these banks are perceived as too big to fail, meaning their continued operation is essential for the stability of the economy and uninterrupted availability of banking services. Now, what is the purpose of D-SIBs? See, certain banks are designated as domestic systematically important banks, that is in short D-SIBs, due to their size, complexity, cross-jurisdictional operations, lack of substitutability and interconnectedness. Hence, their failure could disrupt critical banking services and affect the economic stability. Then, the too big to fail perception creates an exception of government support, giving D-SIBs an advantage in funding market. However, this support can lead to increased risk-taking, competitive imbalances and moral hazard, which the RBI addresses through the additional policy measures. Well, do you know that there are global systematically important banks? See, the Financial Stability Board, that is in short the FSB, in consultation with the Basel Committee on Banking Supervision and national authorities, publishes a list of global domestically important banks. Know that the 2023 Global Systematically Important Banks list based on 2022 data includes JP Morgan Chase, Bank of America, Citigroup, HSSB, Agriculture Bank of China, Barclays and BNP Paribas, among others, etc. Well, the second article of the day says that the Enforcement Directorate, which searched 19 premises associated with vendors on Amazon and Flipkart, has identified a total of 10 such sellers for investigation. In this context, let's talk about the Enforcement Directorate, in short, the ED. See, the Directorate of Enforcement or the ED is a multidisciplinary organization mandated with investigation of economic crimes and violations of foreign exchange laws. Know that the origin of this directorate goes back to the 1st May 1956 when an enforcement unit was formed in the Department of Economic Affairs for handling exchange control laws violations under Foreign Exchange Regulation Act 1947. Then, in the year 1957, this unit was renamed as Enforcement Directorate. Remember that the nodal ministry for it is the Department of Revenue under the Ministry of Finance, and its headquarters is in New Delhi. Significantly, the statutory functions of the Directorate include enforcement of the following acts, which are the Prevention of Money Laundering Act 2002, the Foreign Exchange Management Act 1999, the Fugitive Economic Offenders Act 2018. Notably, both Foreign Exchange Management Act or Prevention of Money Laundering Act apply to whole of India, so the ED can take action against any person on which this act applies. Furthermore, the cases under the FEMA, that is the Foreign Exchange Management Act, may lie in civil courts, but whereas Prevention of Money Laundering Act cases will lie in the criminal courts. Significantly, ED cannot take an action suo motu. So, one has to complain to any other agency or police first, and then ED will investigate the matter and will identify the accused. The next article says that the British writer Samanta Harvey won the Booker Prize for the fiction on November 12th with Orbital, which is a short, wonderful novel set abroad the International Space Station that ponders the beauty and fragility of the Earth. In this context, let's talk about the Booker Prize. See, the Booker Prize is a prestigious literary award for English language fiction recognized as one of the leading awards in the English-speaking world. Know that it has been celebrating outstanding fiction for over 50 years. Looking at the details, See, the main purpose of the award is that it honors the best sustained work of fiction chosen by panel of judges published in the UK and Ireland. Hence, the award significantly transforms the winner's career, offering global recognition, increased readership, and a boost in the book sales. So, the details of the winners of the last 5 years is given in the table below, which might be asked in the exam. The next article is that the city residents of Delhi woke up to a thick blanket of smog and the season's first severe category air. So well, in this context, let's discuss the topic smog. See, as the name indicates, smog is a mixture of smoke and the fog. Then, how it is caused? See, well, the primary causes are by the burning of large amounts of coal, vehicular emissions and the industrial fumes. Then, what does the smoke contains? Know that it contains soot particulates like smoke, sulfur dioxide, nitrogen dioxide and the other components. If we see the types of smog, see, there are primarily two types of smog. First is the sulfurous smog, also called the London smog. Second is the photochemical smog, also called as Los Angeles smog. Now, if we talk about the sulfurous smog, see, as the name indicates, it results from a high concentrations of sulfur dioxides in the air and is caused by the use of sulfur-bearing fossil fuels, particularly the coal. This type of smog is aggravated by the dampness and a high concentration of suspended particulate matter in the air. Next, if we talk about the photochemical smog, know that it occurs most prominently in urban areas that have large number of automobiles. Here, note that the nitrogen oxides are the primary emissions and know that the photochemical smog forms when pollutants such as nitrogen oxides and organic compounds react together in the presence of sunlight. Additionally, a gas called the ozone, which is a secondary pollutant, is formed. But how to control the smog? Well, firstly, by using the renewable sources of energy. Secondly, by reducing the number of vehicles. For this to happen, there should be an efficient public transportation system with last mile connectivity. Next, it is to increase in energy efficiency and also by using smog towers as installed in the Delhi. Well, moving forward to the next article, it is that on the occasion of Janjati Gaurav Divas, that is tomorrow, PM to visit Bihar on 15th November. And also the PM to participate in Group Pravesh of 11,000 houses built under the PM-JANMAN. PM-JANMAN, which stands for the Pradhan Mantri Janjati Adivasi Nyaya Maha Abhiyan. Additionally, he will also inaugurate 23 mobile medical units launched under the PM-JANMAN to enhance healthcare accesses in the tribal areas. So well, in this context, let's talk briefly about the PM-JANMAN scheme. Know that the Pradhan Mantri Janjati Adivasi Nyaya Maha Abhiyan, that is the PM-JANMAN, is a mission aimed at supporting 75 particularly vulnerable tribal groups, that is in short PVTGs, across 18 states and 1 union territory. And the scheme, comprising central sector and centrally sponsored schemes, will be implemented by the Ministry of Tribal Affairs in collaboration with the state governments and the PVTG communities. Significantly, the mission focuses on 11 critical interventions implemented by the 9 different ministries. Further, it encompasses various sectors including safe housing under the PM-AWAS scheme, access to the clean drinking water, improved healthcare, education, nutrition, road and telecommunications connectivity, as well as opportunities for sustainable livelihood. Additionally, the plan also includes the establishment of Vandan Vikas Kendras for trading in forest produce, off-grid solar power systems for 1 lakh households and the solar street lights. And the scheme is expected to enhance the quality of life and well-being of PVTGs by addressing their multiple and intersecting forms of discrimination and exclusion, and by recognizing and valuing their unique and valuable contribution to the nation and the global development. So, as we discussed, the scheme is for upliftment of PVTGs, but do you know who PVTGs are? Well, the particularly vulnerable tribal groups, that is the PVTGs, are the most vulnerable among the tribal communities, characterized by specific features such as reliance on hunting and gathering, pre-agriculture technology, zero native population growth, and extremely low literacy levels. So by using this criteria, 75 PVTGs have been identified across the country. The next article is that after being nudged by the 15th Finance Commission, all states except Arunachal Pradesh have state finance commissions in place, the latest being Gujarat, which formed its commission on November 4th, according to a note prepared by the Ministry of Panchayati Raj ahead of Finance Commission's conclave on the Devolution to Development 2024, scheduled to be held on November 14th. So in this context, let's talk briefly about State Finance Commission and also about 15th Finance Commission. Firstly, talking about the State Finance Commission, if we see its constitutional basis, remember that the SFC or the State Finance Commission was established under the 73rd and 74th constitutional amendments in the year 1992. Significantly, it aimed to strengthen local self-governance in India by providing constitutional status to the Panchayati Raj institutions and municipalities. Then if we talk about the appointments, remember that the governor of each state is responsible for appointing the State Finance Commission for every 5 years as mandated by the Article 243I of the Constitution. But what are the responsibilities? Well, the key responsibilities are: their main task is the distribution between the state and panchayats of the net proceeds of the taxes, duties, tolls and fees leviable by the state, which may be divided between them under this part, and the allocation between the panchayats and all levels of their respective shares of such proceeds. Additionally, the SFC is responsible for determining the taxes, duties, tolls and fees that can be assigned to or appropriated by the panchayats. The other critical function is the granting of financial assistance to the panchayats from the consolidated fund of the state, ensuring they have the necessary funds for development and welfare activities. The SFC also looks at the measures that can improve the financial health of panchayats, ensuring they are in a position to deliver public services efficiently. And if the governor feels that there are additional issues regarding the sound financial management of panchayats, these can also be referred to the commission. Now, if we talk about the 15th Finance Commission, first, know that the Finance Commission is a constitutional body that determines the method and formula for distributing the tax proceeds between the centre and states and among the states as per the constitutional arrangement and present requirements. Remember, it is established under the Article 280 of the Constitution, and the President of India is required to constitute a Finance Commission at an interval of 5 years or earlier. Here, the primary function of Finance Commission revolves around making recommendations on the distribution of financial resources between the Union Government and the State Government. Now, if we see the 15th Finance Commission, it was constituted by the President of India in November 2017 under the chairmanship of N.K. Singh, and its recommendations will cover a period of 5 years from the year 2021-2022 to 2025 and 2026. Well, moving to the next article, as the Tri-Services Defence Space Agency has conducted its maiden tabletop exercise, Antariksha Abhyas 2024, aimed at bolstering the strategic readiness of the Indian Armed Forces in the domain of space warfare. So in this context, let's talk about the exercise Antariksha Abhyas. Interestingly, this exercise is India's first dedicated space exercise aimed at securing national strategic objectives in space and integrating India's space capabilities into the military operations. But what are the objectives of this exercise? Well, firstly, to enhance understanding of space-based assets and services. Secondly, to evaluate operational dependencies on space technology among various different stakeholders. And also to identify vulnerabilities in operations in case of denial or disruptions to space-based services. Further, this exercise is headed by the Chief of Defence Staff, that is the General Anil Chauhan, emphasized the importance of space as a critical enabler for India's defense, nothing that the domain is becoming increasingly contested, competitive and commercial. Additionally, the General Chauhan urged military leaders to secure India's national space interest by fostering innovation and advancing technology in partnership with ISRO, DRDO and academia. Then, who participates in this exercise? So, the exercise includes participants from the Defense Space Agency, Army, Navy, Air Force and specialist branches such as the Defense Cyber Agency, Defense Intelligence Agency and Strategic Forces Command. Further, the ISRO and DRDO representatives are also involved, facilitating a collaborative approach. But what is the significance of this exercise? Okay, let me tell you. See, exercise Antariksha Abhyas aims to strengthen India's strategic position in space and advance military space capabilities to respond effectively to the potential threats and disruptions. Not only that, by integrating space capabilities into defense operations, this exercise marks a critical step towards safeguarding India's national interest in the rapidly evolving space domain. Moving to the next article, it is that members of Parliamentary Standing Committee on Welfare of Other Backward Classes have raised questions on why the government has not revised the creamy layer ceiling for OBC candidates appearing for the UPSC exam for the past 7 years. Well, in this context, let's talk about the standing committees. See, the Parliamentary Committee is a committee of members of Parliament who are elected or appointed from amongst the members of House or nominated by the Speaker or Chairman. Know that the concept of parliamentary committees originated in the British Parliament, and these committees operate under the direction of Speaker of Lok Sabha or Chairman of Rajya Sabha and present their findings and recommendations to the respective houses. Further, they draw their authority from the Article 105, which deals with the privileges of MPs, and also with the Article 118, which gives Parliament authority to make rules to regulate its procedure and conduct of business. And know that, by their nature, parliamentary committees in India are of two kinds. One is a standing committee and the other is the ad hoc committees. The next article is that Indigo and Air India on Wednesday cancelled their flights to Bali due to ash clouds from a volcanic eruption in the Indonesian island. The Mount Lewatobi Laki-Laki volcano, located on a remote island in the East Nusa Tenggara province, erupted earlier this month and has resulted in the ash clouds. In this context, let's discuss about volcanoes. Well, what are volcanoes? See, volcanoes are openings or vents where lava, tephra, that is the small rocks, and steam erupt onto the earth's surface. Interestingly, volcanoes can be formed on land and in the ocean too. Additionally, they are formed when material significantly hotter than its surroundings is erupted onto the surface of the earth. Know that the material could be liquid rock, ash, or gases. Then, how does the rise of magma take place? Well, the magma rises in three different ways. First is when the tectonic plates, which are massive, irregularly shaped slabs of solid rock that carry both continents and oceans and are constantly in motion. They move away from each other. Then the magma rises up to fill in the space. When this happens, underwater volcanoes can also be formed. Second is when the plates move towards each other. When this happens, part of the Earth's crust can be forced deep into its interior. The high heat and pressure cause the crust to melt and rise as magma. Last, it is the magma rising at the hot spots. So in hot areas inside of the Earth is where magma gets heated up. As magma gets warmer, it becomes less dense, leading to its rise. Moving further, know that volcanoes are classified on the basis of nature of eruption and the form developed at the surface. The major types of volcanoes are as follows. First is the shield volcanoes. So these volcanoes bearing the basalt flows, the shield volcanoes are the largest of all the volcanoes on the earth. Example, the Hawaiian volcanoes. Second is the composite volcanoes. These volcanoes are characterized by the eruptions of cooler and more viscous lavas than the basalt. Additionally, these volcanoes often result in the explosive eruptions. And the third type is the caldera. These are the most explosive of the Earth's volcanoes. They're usually so explosive that when they erupt, they tend to collapse on themselves rather than building any tall structures. And these collapsed depressions are called the calderas. The next type is the basalt provisions. These volcanoes outpour highly fluid lava that flows for long distances, and also some parts of the world are covered by the thousands of square kilometers of thick basalt lava flows. Additionally, there can be a series of flows with some flows attaining thickness more than 50 meters. Example includes the Deccan Traps from India, presently covering most of the Maharashtra plateau, are a much larger flood basalt province. The last type is the mid-ocean ridge volcanoes. Know that these volcanoes occur in the oceanic areas, and there is a system of mid-ocean ridges more than 70,000 km long that stretches through all the ocean basins. The last article of the day is that 20,000 Pompano fingerlings were deposited in the Sea of Vizinjam on Wednesday as a follow-up to the artificial reef project designed to replenish marine fishery resources and promote sustainable fishing practices. So in this context, let's talk about Pradhan Mantri Matsya Sampada Yojana scheme. See, Pradhan Mantri Matsya Sampada Yojana, in short the PMMSY, is a landmark initiative aimed at transforming the fishery sector through sustainability, modernization and promoting fishers' welfare. And the scheme was approved with a total investment of 20,000 crore to be implemented over 5 years from the financial year 2020-2021 to financial year 2024 and 2025. But what are the objectives of this scheme? Well, the primary objective of PMMSY is to harness the full potential of India's fisheries in an inclusive, responsive and equitable manner. See, if we look at the objectives of PMMSY, first and foremost is the sustainability of fisheries, that is, to harness the fisheries potential in an inclusive, responsive and equitable manner. Secondly, PMMSY also aims to enhance fish protection by expanding and intensifying fish farming and capture fisheries. Through land and water resource management, the scheme seeks to increase fish protection, helping meet the growing demand for fish both domestically and internationally. Further, it aims in strengthening post-harvest management, quality improvement and technological advancement. Significantly, it aims in increasing the income of fishers and fish farmers while generating employment and enhancing the contribution of fisheries to India's agriculture GDP and exports. Lastly, it also establishes a robust regulatory framework for fisheries and ensuring social, physical and economic security for fishes. Moving forward, let's see the components of the scheme. Know that PMMSY operates under two main components. First is the central sector scheme, that is 100% funding by the central government for the entire project or the unit cost, and the central assistance up to 40% for general category and 60% for the SC/ST or women category. Second is the centrally sponsored scheme. So, the component is further divided into non-beneficiary oriented and beneficiary oriented activities. And if we see the funding for livelihood and nutritional support activity, well, under the PMMSY, a special funding pattern is allocated for livelihood and nutritional support to socio-economically backward fishers during the fishing ban or the lean period. This activity continues the norms from the Blue Revolution scheme. And if we see the government's assistance, that is 3,000 per annum per enrolled beneficiary. And the contribution structure is, for general states, it is 50% central share and 50% state share, and for northeastern Himalayan states, it is 80% central share and 20% state share, that is on the ratio of 80:20, and additionally, for the union territories, it is 100% central share. Well, we have discussed 10 articles for the day and we'll be back tomorrow with another video. Thank you.